When I was living in Portland, the Arizona real estate market crashed and people are moving out. And like, I would never I used to live in California, but the reason I never moved there again is taxes, because they tax worldwide income. So I'd never moved to Arizona. If you are, let's say, a school teacher in California, it doesn't affect you. But if you're a global entrepreneur, California affects you. And that's why it's called macro financial education. And most guys are just peeing in the ocean, trying to figure out how to get rich quick. So, yeah. I'm very, very optimistic about Bitcoin, because of the blockchain technology, the lack of manipulation. But I think the most important is the same reason I own gold and silver. Can't mess with it. I don't own gold and silver ETFs. You know why? Because there's no gold and silver there. When I came out of the military, we're at about 30% debt to GDP. So we could have, that's like you make $100,000, but you paid 30,000 to the bank. Today, it's 140% debt to GDP. That means you're making $100,000, but you owe $140,000 every month. And America is broke, and the baby boomers are still living in that time when we were 30% debt to GDP. So it's not the same world anymore. They've been lied to, but they're not even aware they're being lied to, and they think the Bitcoin guys are crazy. Or any Ethereum, anything new that shakes our 401k, dreamland or fantasy land there.
Everyone always talks about there's some new technology, there's some new coin, there's some new thing that is more innovative, is faster, is cheaper, is whatever. And they want to have a technological argument. But what you just described is Bitcoin's core value proposition. It is decentralized. It's outside the system and nobody controls it. Nobody can create more of it. And that is the number one value proposition that I think people are seeking right now, is they are watching central banks around the world print trillions of dollars. They're watching authoritarian regimes around the world become more and more overreaching, increase financial surveillance, and kind of just do bad things. And what they're looking for is they're looking for an asset that isn't even so much about, quote unquote, getting rich. It's actually about protecting the wealth that you already have. It's how do I prevent my wealth from being degraded away by central banks printing all that money, or from authoritarian regimes trying to actually confiscate it from you. And correct. Bitcoin is the ultimate solution.
Correct. Well, I don't know if it's ultimate, but it's a solution.
As people start to understand decentralization and centralization, this theme is going to continue over the next decade or so, right? When you look at things like the content of platforms, when you look at things like the media, when you look at things like financial markets, when you look at all sorts of aspects of our life, everything is centralized, right? If you remember, the United States of America was decentralized at one point. There was 50 states, and those 50 states had state governments, and there was competition among the state governments in order to provide the best environment for not only citizens, but also entrepreneurs, investors, etc.
Went to military school. I studied Marx, Lenin, Stalin, and those guys. When you use the words decentralized, I get really happy, because centralized means communist. And when you say centralize the central banks, that's communism. And when Janet Yellen went from the central bank to the treasury, that was super communism, because they now control the monetary system. And the reason you guys, all of us now who are into the crypto, we're peeing into the ocean that's controlled by a bunch of communists, Janet Yellen and this guy Powell and the U.S. and the Wall Street. I sit there, I don't want to play their games. I mean, you can, if I had bought Amazon, I'd be rich. I just don't want to play their game. Just like, I don't buy cigarette stocks because my father died of cancer. He smoked every day. So just personally, somebody said, we don't buy some cigarette stocks. I said, no, I don't touch stocks anyway. I don't touch gold ETFs because they're fake. There's nothing there. There's no silver. There's no silver in the silver ETFs. There's going to be this crash so big in that market. And that's what the Reddit crowd proved when they tried to short squeeze, GameStop and silver. But the guys don't understand the game, and that's what you're explaining is when it's decentralized, you're peeing in the ocean controlled by the Fed. I mean, there's so much BS out. Like this China thing, I just can't believe it. Well, it crashed because of China. China's been warning against Bitcoin since 2013, 2014, 15, and then they warned against Ethereum in 2016. They will always warn you against Bitcoin. Oh, that's caused it. I mean, how do you get educated?
I think there's two different approaches, right? And you should do both of them at the same time. One is there's some great resources out there. You always should start with the Bitcoin white paper. It's 9 pages. Sit down. It's a little technical, but it'll at least give you an understanding kind of the original vision for this. The second thing is there's a ton of written resources, videos on YouTube, on podcasts, things like that. But really, it's just find the people who have acquired large audiences in the space. My buddy Marty, he says, people come for the money, but they stay for the money. And what that means is they come because there's profits, there's volatility, right? There's excitement, and they feel like, well, what are all these people doing? And then once they start to understand it, they say, wait a second, the dollar and other fiat currencies are heavily manipulated. This is not manipulated in the same way, right? It's outside of the system. It's kind of that digital sound money. I'm going to hold this because it's going to protect my wealth. It's going to actually gain purchasing power over time.
And that's why I pick on the baby boomers, because they were the luckiest. They were born at the right time, but the trouble is they're not well educated. And the thing I like about the millennials is you guys are at least aware you're being screwed. The other point of view is this: what most people don't understand about financial education, because in 71, I was coming on my way to Vietnam, and that's when I kind of woke up. They were coming off the gold standard, and the average guy had no idea what that meant. And that's the problem. So the thing I know about this is when they say quantitative easing, what you're talking about, Anthony, is this: the only people that get the money are rich people. You see, with quantitative easing, you must go through the banking system. So when I've been broke many times, and when I had no money, the banks close their doors to you. So I understand. I don't think it's black. I think if you're financially illiterate, the banks will close the doors to you. So every time they print money, the money gets trapped in what's called the monetary system. But only the rich get richer, and the poor and middle class get poorer because, temporarily there's inflation. And the inflation is in the asset markets. So Bitcoin went up, real estate goes up, stock market goes up. But I feel for the guys working in my yard because they violate Rich Dad's lesson number 1, don't work for money. You've got to work for assets.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar, and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.